Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Seneca knew toxic relationships could corrupt our character. His wisdom rings true today. With so much hostility and misinformation, we must be vigilant. Beware who influences your soul. As Seneca said, seek out those who bring wisdom and distance yourself from the rest, especially toxic types like the flatterer, the complainer, the narcissist. In this video, I'll highlight 7 personalities Stoicism warns against. You'll see why we must limit contact with those who would erode our values and derail our progress. The Stoics teach us to protect our inner light from those who would dim it. Join me as we explore this critical skill for modern life. Avoiding contamination from toxicity, you'll discover how the ancients safeguarded themselves from compromised character. Let's armor ourselves with Stoic insights to navigate today's treacherous landscape of questionable influences. With wisdom, we can choose our interactions and inoculate against infection. The most insidious of toxic individuals is the flatterer. This sycophant ingratiates themselves to us with false praise and hollow compliments. They shower us with disingenuous flattery, telling us exactly what we want to hear about ourselves. Our vanity makes their lies enticing, like a tempting poison that could slowly corrupt our values. We must see through their transparent attempt to manipulate us through this vain flattery. The Stoic sage remains humble and sees through these fawning words, crafted only to stoke our pride. The flatterer seeks not to enlighten us, but to control us through this cloying, toxic adulation. Their words do not enlighten our reason, but blind it in a fog of self-aggrandizement. This is why we must be wary of the flatterer and their agenda to manage our emotions through insincere praise. We must respond not with prideful delight, but with level-headed discernment, recognizing their words for what they are. Not truth, but a poisonous concoction of lies brewed to inflate our egos. The Stoic is not moved by the flatterer's outward adulation, but sees clearly their underlying motivation to manipulate. We must therefore limit our exposure to the flatterer's sweet toxins that promote only vanity, not wisdom. Their corrupting influence will only serve to guide us away from humility, not instill virtue. Heed this caution against the flatterer, whose words enter through our ears like a slow-acting venom, imperceptibly corrupting our values. Another toxic personality to be wary of is the complainer. This negative person voices only grievances, never gratitude. They sap our morale with their endless moaning and fixate only on what is lacking. The complainer seeks to drag others into their mire of misery. Their default is to whine, criticize, and lament. They drain our energy and infect us with their infectious pessimism. The Stoic sage avoids this black hole of gloom by limiting their exposure to such corrosive negativity. We must be cautious not to let the complainer's endless grievances distort our thinking. Their toxic mindset blinds them to any positivity, enlightenment, or wisdom. They see only through a lens of dissatisfaction, oblivious to what is good. We must be careful this gloomy perspective does not rub off on us. The Stoic maintains composure around the complainer and does not get pulled into their vortex of gloom. We must navigate their presence with level-headed discernment, recognizing their harmful impact. Our path is to seek wisdom, not wallow in grievances. We must beware the complainer's monopolizing moans do not drown out our capacity for Stoic calm and perspective. Just as we take care of our physical health, we must safeguard our mental serenity from the complainer's infectious toxicity. Limit exposure to their contagious pessimism that tries to poison our thought patterns. Remain virtuous by not indulging their ceaseless moaning. Stoicism cautions against another toxic personality, the hedonist. This pleasure seeker lives only for base sensual delights, not higher ideals. They indulge every decadent whim and care only about satiating desires of the flesh. The hedonist's mindless revelry and visceral indulgences can tempt us to abandon reason and wisdom. We must be wary of their allure of instant gratification that caters to our impulses, not our principles. The hedonist's ways can fog our judgment in a haze of momentary excitement. We must take care not to get ensnared in the hedonist's web of addictive revelries. Their careless pursuit of pleasure represents an animal existence, not an enlightened one. The Stoic sage avoids being dazzled by their flashy lifestyle and maintains composure. Our path is one of self-mastery, not self-indulgence. We must tune out the hedonist's siren song of decadence that calls us to compromise our values. We should react with wisdom, not become mesmerized like an easily distractible child. Beware the hedonist's temptation to live for titillation, not truth. Sever contact if needed to protect your character from contamination. With discipline, we can immunize ourselves against their corrupting influence. A life of virtue demands we resist the hedonist's contagious toxicity. Stoicism advises us to be on guard against the toxic traits of the cynic. This skeptical personality doubts all sincerity, goodness, and truth. They view the world through a lens of contemptuous distrust. The cynic's corrosive skepticism can erode our own faith in humanity. Their jaded negativity casts doubt on moral principles we hold dear. We must take care not to let the cynic's toxic worldview taint our own. The cynic is quick to assume the worst in people and dismiss lofty ideals as naive. We must be wary such jaundiced beliefs do not wash off on us, leaving us just as embittered. The Stoic retains faith in wisdom and humanity despite the cynic's acidic scorn. Our path is to seek enlightenment through virtuous ideals, not to wallow in bleak cynicism. We must tune out the cynic's attempts to needle us with doubts and undermine sincerely held beliefs. We should stand firm in our principles. The cynic's toxicity stems from their eagerness to tear down, not build up, while the Stoic aims for wisdom. The cynic aims only to erode faith and idealism. We must beware this corrosive effect on our worldview and limit exposure. With vigilance, we can prevent the cynic's jaded negativity from distorting our thinking and compromising our character. Virtue demands we keep our eyes fixed on truth, not be blinded by the cynic's dark shadows of distrust. Another toxic personality that Stoicism cautions against is the braggart. This boastful egotist trumpets their own talents and triumphs at every chance. They are obsessed with self-promotion and status. The braggart's proud pretenses and incessant self-congratulation are meant to elevate themselves above others. We must see through this vain display and remain grounded in humility. The Stoic sage is not fooled by outward appearances and posturing. We must be careful not to get infected by the braggart's brazen pride. Their arrogance can rub off on us if we are not vigilant, making us similarly full of ourselves. The antidote is to double down on modesty whenever exposed to the braggart's puffery. While the braggart seeks to impress others, the Stoic values only wisdom, not the fickle admiration of people. We must tune out the braggart's peacocking as pointless noise. Our goal is virtue through self-mastery, not through self-aggrandizement. By modeling humility, the Stoic denies the braggart the reaction they desperately crave. We must remain composed around this toxicity and not get distracted from our principles. With proper vigilance, we can shield ourselves from the braggart's corrupting example. Our character is strengthened through modesty, not through the proud pretenses, which Stoicism so adamantly warns against. Stoicism cautions against another toxic personality type, the idler. This lazy loafer squanders their gifts and potential through negligence and sloth. They drift through life without purpose or effort. The idler's shiftless example can lead us astray if we are not careful. Their moral inertia and wasted potential could rub off on us if we are exposed for too long, making us similarly negligent and unmotivated. We must be wary that the idler's aimless approach does not result in our own inertia. Their lackadaisical way threatens to slow our own progress and dull our work ethic over time through passive influence. We must guard ourselves. The Stoic retains drive and discipline around the idler. We focus on self-improvement, not self-indulgence. Our path demands active effort, not passive lounging. We must tune out the idler's toxic laziness and carelessness. By living purposefully, we deny the idler the satisfaction of dragging us down to their level. Stoicism insists we take full advantage of our gifts rather than squander them. With proper vigilance, we can shield our work ethic, resisting the inertia the idler tries to impart. Our character is shaped not through easy leisure, but through strenuous exertion. Heed the Stoic warning against the idler, whose aimless passivity threatens to undermine our potential if we are not careful. We must work diligently to ensure no virtue is lost through neglect. The most toxic personality that Stoicism urgently warns against is the narcissist. This self-obsessed individual thinks only of themselves and their image. They lack empathy and exploit others to serve their own ego. The narcissist's profound selfishness is a contagion we must be vigilant against. Their complete self-absorption can rub off on us if we are not careful, eroding our own concern for others. The Stoic retains compassion around this toxic personality. We must be cautious not to get entranced by the narcissist's self-confidence, which is merely a facade for self-worship. True enlightenment comes from looking outward, not inward. The narcissist's extreme self-focus is the antithesis of wisdom. The narcissist views people as mere tools to fulfill their own desires and agenda. But the Stoic views all humanity as deserving of moral consideration. We must therefore limit contact with the narcissist before their selfishness distorts our values. By modeling compassion and avoiding self-absorption whenever the narcissist is present, we can inoculate ourselves against their corrupting example. With vigilance, we need not succumb to their contagious toxicity. Remember, the narcissist represents the polar opposite of the virtue and enlightenment that Stoicism embodies. Stoicism advises vigilance against these toxic personality types, who can erode our wisdom if we are not careful. We must exercise discretion in choosing who influences our character. Our virtue depends on selecting proper company as we walk the enlightened path. We aim to enrich that journey through ongoing Stoic insights, so please like and subscribe. But even more importantly, share your own stories below, how you have navigated relationships with difficult people. By learning from each other's experiences, we can all strengthen our resilience to toxicity and safeguard the harmony of our souls. The Stoic journey is challenging but rewarding. Let us travel it together in a spirit of compassion and enlightenment.